Hi guys. So I was asked about the panel lining that I use on my kits, and well, it's actually a lot of different stuff I use because it all depends on where we should put the panel lines on the kits. Now I'm building this perfect grade Gundam red frame Astray, and has some touch-ups I need to finish. But I have used 3 different kinds of panel lines on this kit. And I can tell you which kinds I use, because I use this Gundam marker, which has a tip, a small tip. And actually I have to be careful because I made a mistake. I took the wrong lid for, I think it was the, I didn't look, so I just took from the Gundam marker remover and I just pressed it down and I bent the tip. So sometimes you just need to watch what you're doing. I didn't. I used this one, and I actually got another one from a Japanese distributor I use sometimes. It's actually more or less the same. Just can't seem to find it in all my messages here. It's the same concept. It's Sakura Micron Pigma. With a small tip. So yeah, these I use for when there's like this kind of pattern with not so much what do you call it, stuff where the ink can flow by itself. So when you have these deep cracks like this one, I use the Tamiya accent color black for white kits. Some use dark gray or gray because they think that the dark gives too much contrast. I like the contrast. Or you can use the Gundam marker, which I should have somewhere. See how well prepared I am as usual. Let's see, it's here. And you can actually use a gray one as well. Now this is the pour type, which means that it's ink that flows into the panel lines. Depending on where to use it, I use different kinds of panel liners. And sometimes it works good and sometimes it doesn't. The good thing is that with this Gundam marker remover and a cotton budge, I can remove it all. So, for example, like with this one, these small panel lines are so small that none of these fine tipped markers would be able to get down there. So for that I would use the Tamiya panel line accent color, because this is very, very fine ink that comes with this small tip. And for that you can, for example, with these small lines down here, doesn't show that good on the camera, you can actually just touch it and it will fill out all those. And then I will touch it up with a cotton bud afterwards. Now the thing is, you don't want to have too much ink on it. And then you just touch these cracks and it fills out the cracks itself. Now I have just been working out, doesn't flow that good. Sometimes it's because there's not enough ink on it, or you could keep it at an angle so the ink actually flows better. Now it looks like I'm very shaky, and I am actually. Normally I'm not. I just finished a workout, so my body is like on an alert now. It's not the best day for me to show this. Actually, it looks like I have some kind of disease, but I have just been working out very hard, so that's why. This is how it works with the Tamiya panel liner. Now, if you take a look at it, it actually looks like, well, you're messing around with it, and I am. Once this is dry, you put on some Gundam marker remover on a cotton budge, and you just slightly wipe it off. I can do it later on, and it will look absolutely fine. It seems like I missed a point here. Now, normally I don't do it while they are on the runner. It all depends. Sometimes I do it after I put it on the kit. Now, let's see if we can find some other examples. I'm not quite sure, like this is not a crack itself. Yeah, it flows okay. There are some places, I'm not sure if I can find someone, maybe on this kit, like here. We can just test it. I mean, I can always remove it, but like here, it doesn't really flow that well. So sometimes, let's just remove that again. It actually worked okay. You can use the pens. It really doesn't matter which one you use. So you put it on and you print. Yeah, this one is done. That was a bad example. Sometimes you can remove it while it's still wet. I think I broke some of the tips on these markers. Well, you can actually just use it like this. It all depends on, oops, how much contrast you want on the kit. If you think it's too thick, then it's not for you to use these markers. I like the big contrast. And the same goes with this. It's not very good for the pour type, liquid type. It's better to draw it yourself. Right now, where my hands are so shaky, it's really bad. But as you can see here, let's remove this piece. In here, we got all these small details, and I would definitely use the accent color panel line from Tamiya here as well, because it really flows well into these small cracks. And I'll just touch it up with a cotton bud afterwards. Now, see, I'm messing up here. It doesn't matter. Remember, guys, I am just a normal hobby builder. I'm not a painter or anything. So if someone has something to say, oh, you're doing it wrong, oh, why you're not using an airbrush, or why you're doing it like that, feel free to comment. I've been doing this for some years now, and my kits are actually, I think they're looking good. It all comes to preference. I mean, I'm not into the entire airbrushing thing, and that's not because I don't want to. I simply don't have the time when working as well, and I kind of could have the facilities now when you think of I have the warehouse, but depending on if it's acrylics or what's it called? Sorry because I'm focused here. Lacquer paint. Lacquer paint need really good venting, or else you will kill yourself. I don't have that right now, and since my shop here is going to be used as a showroom, I'm not gonna stuff all kinds of fans and things to make it perfect with the airbrushing. So I actually only use markers. Now, I'm not quite sure how well this shows up on the camera, but it actually works fine with all the details. So let's see if this is dry yet. This one looks dry. So what I do normally is I use a cotton bud, and I put some of this marker remover on, and I just slightly remove the excess ink. Like so, and you can actually just use your hands for the sometimes there's a lot of stuff. Oops. Yeah, need more of this marker remover. I know you can get all kinds of stuff. I just have these because I sell them. You can use whatever the internet says you can use. I just use this because it's easy. So that's more or less what I would do. Now that makes the detailing pop a bit more. It's a lot of ways of doing it. Some use eraser, a normal eraser that you use for drawing. That could also do the job. It all depends on preferences. Just remember to be sure that you remove all the excess ink. Sometimes there's stuff going on and you didn't get it all. So that's the panel line accent color and marker remover, and the point tipped ones, very, very small, 005, 005. I haven't used this one yet. It's actually more or less like the panel line from Tamiya. It's just a bit thicker. Now we can try it on the opposite one here. I'm not quite sure how well it will do. I think it will do okay. It's just that the tip here is a bit, you can push it in and more ink will flow. The tip here is not as fine as the Tamiya ones. So see, if I press it down here, hold it, the ink will flow all the way. That's it. Let's see if it can be done here. And the reason I'm flipping it now is because I want the ink to flow with the gravity. So a bit more messy, a bit more ink to remove. It has slightly more contrast than the Tamiya one, I think, because the ink is thicker. So it's all about preference. You know, you can get these in gray, light gray, dark gray, black, brown, light brown, dark brown. And I think I have most of them. Thing is, they really smell bad. I don't think you have to sniff it too much. And it actually dries okay. Let's see, I have different kinds of cotton buds. I also have smaller ones, because if you have to clean something up like this, you really need a smaller one. I also have them point tipped like this. I also have those in the shop. Here's a normal cotton bud. So for the smaller areas where you really need to do cleanup, I normally just put it on the side and it will suck it up, and then I can remove all the ink in the very small edges if it needs to be removed. You can see here how fine the pointy tips are, and they last very long, because if you fill it up with ink, no, but the cotton here is a lot more hard than this. This will start to soften and be all kind of mushy and, you know, like this. This is not good to use anymore. So they are better from Mr. Hobby, these cotton buds, but they're for detailing cleanup. For normal cleanup like this, see, it's dry here now. I like the big ones because they can really take a lot of this marker remover and just remove it. Normally I don't go with the line, I go across the line, because I don't want to remove the stuff in the line. So see, there's a lot of ink. It's all dirty now here. Let's use a clean side. I normally just use my hands, but you can use whatever works. you get the idea. This is how I do it more or less. There's always something you can clean up later on if you want the detail. But you can obviously see that the contrast over here is a bit better than the Tamiya one. You can always let it run twice with the Tamiya one, and I did shake it before. So now this is a perfect grade kit. So I of course need to decide which one to go with, because I'm not gonna have two different contrasts on this kit. So that's how I use the panel lines. I have the fine tipped ones, two different ones. This one is a Sakura Micron Pigma, was actually a distributor in Japan that sent this to me as a test. I couldn't really see the difference between that one and the Gundam marker. And I also have a Molotov. It's just, yeah, it's really messed up because I used it so much, and the distributor has run out of them. You can get them anywhere anyway. And then we have the port type, and then we have the panel lining with the very, very, very fine tip, and it's very liquid, so it's easy flowing. And I use them for different kinds of things. So the panel lining from Tamiya would probably often, for me, be used on very small details where the thick ones can't be used, like this one's. These machinery things. I can try to make a cleanup on those as well. And sometimes you have to do it more than twice, because sometimes the panel lines are not very deep, so you can actually remove some of the ink before. Let's see, I think this is okay. Most of this stuff here, as I recall, is hidden, but you can see the difference if I remove this part. Here there's all these details you don't really see, and here they pop a bit more. They will of course more or less be hidden by... did I do it wrong? The wrong part? Yeah, but it's not quite hidden. I mean, you can see the details. So I would definitely do it, just to make sure that everything pops. And yeah, that's what I did with the legs as well. I painted what I thought was necessary, and there's some more cleanup to do. All these small details in here, all these curvatures and stuff, all these lines, they just pop more on a white kit if you do it. If you don't do it, I just think it's up to you. I mean, I like to see all the details that they actually made. It's a bit, it's a big job sometimes, but I think it's worth it once it's done. Once this kit is done, I think it's gonna look awesome. I will coat it either in clear or matte coat. I'm not quite sure. I think it will be matte because of this gray color here. It's kind of plasticky, and that would definitely disappear once I coat it. So yeah, that's how I would do it, and that's how I do it. There's some parts here that maybe I should glue some of them. These parts behind, I had some problems with those. But this is a panel line tutorial, not a build tutorial. So this was just my advice on how I do it, what I use the different kits panel lines for, and how to use them. It's all about preference. Some like the port type, some like the fine tip ones, but one thing is for sure, that you can't use them all for everything. They have each of them have their own purpose. These, I think I have to glue these, they're really annoying. It's like this one hits the gray part here. Well, anyway, life as a model builder, a small tutorial on the panel lines. I will do all kinds of panel lines on this later on. As I said, I use 3 different types: fine tip type, the port type, and the panel line from Tamiya, which is very easy flowing with a small applicator here. Very small. So it's up to you guys. If you have any questions on how I use other stuff, feel free to ask, and I will try to make a small tutorial. It's a very simple tutorial. There are probably better ones out there. This is my take on it, and I hope you liked it anyway. So sorry for the shaky hands. Next time I will do it before I work out, because that was really not so professional. Great weekend, guys, and happy pen lining.